religion to me is just one's personal relationship with God.
Yeah.
So you're just explaining to me like what yours is. You're not telling me what to do, what to believe in, or I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah.
You're taking me down this journey, bro. And I'm down for the ride, son.
We are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweigh the dangers which are cited to justify it. There's little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. I am not asking your newspapers to support, but I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people. To the recorder of man's deeds, the keeper of his conscience, the courier of his news, that we look for strength and assistance, confident that with your help, man will be what he was born to be, free and independent.
You guys are listening to the SpeakInCOAD podcast. I'm sitting here with Chente. Oh, I don't have any set up.
That's cool. I did it. I did it for you.
What's that?
I did it for you.
Yeah. All right, cool. So this episode, I think we're gonna talk some theories and give some ideas and stuff to simulation theory, Christianity, religion. We'll make it blend. We'll make it work. And this is just kind of like off the cuff. I kind of had some notes. I talked to Chente a little bit about this too. I gave him a little bit of an insight of what I'm going to be talking about and kind of breaking down and stuff too.
Yeah, man. It was interesting.
Yeah. So I think, I'm going to pull something up real quick for you, for everybody to see.
I see.
Let's see. All right. What is simulation theory? Simulation theory, in simple words, simulation theory is a theoretical hypothesis that says what people perceive as reality is actually an advanced hyper-realistic computer simulation, possibly overseen by a higher being. And I think when they say possibly overseen by a higher being, I think that they mean that it could be a creator of the program, of the design, or a designer of the program, or it could be artificial intelligence.
Okay.
So that's kind of where I'm at with this right now. With simulation theory, people think that that this world is either fake, we're in a computer program, we're in a video game, so to speak.
Right.
And it's like they feel that either the creator of this realm or this world, this is like the Matrix. So they want to explain to people that there's ways to escape the Matrix. There's ways to win the game. There's ways to beat the system, Nintendo system. No, there's so many different ideas around the realm of the simulation or the video game or life, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And I feel like there's a way to connect those with the belief of Christianity and the belief of God. And I feel like I found a way to kind of connect the two together.
All right.
So,
let's hear it.
Did you want to do a what's in your cup?
Yeah, man. What you got?
I just got some water. I've been dehydrated.
I just got plain red Kool-Aid today.
Ooh. TBD would be a little sad that he wasn't able to partake with you.
Yeah, man.
I know. he will be missed. He might jump on. He might jump on.
In our
So-
minds and in our hearts.
And in our simulation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was coming up with it's weird that. Oh, anyway, is there anything that you wanted to throw out or anything like that? I feel like we jumped right into it. I didn't want to like.
No, man. Let's just get into it. How did you come up with this? How did you see it? Take us, paint the picture.
Oh man. Okay, so I set an alarm at 4 a.m. every day before I get up for work, just as like a pre-alarm to my alarm to get ready for work, just so I don't miss it. Because there's been so many times where I've slept through alarms and I don't want to get in trouble. So I wake up at 4 a.m, shut off the alarm, and I'm like, man, I gotta go to the bathroom. So I ended up pretty much going to the bathroom, going pee. And I feel like there's a way to talk to people about religion, about your faith, about your beliefs. And I feel like there's a right way to do it, and then there's a wrong way to do it.
Mhm.
And I feel like there's so many people that have good intentions on speaking faith and speaking their religion and trying to explain it and trying to break it down or make people feel welcome within it if they join or if they feel like they need to join it or whatever. And I definitely feel like there's a wrong way. And I feel like the wrong way to do it would be to tell somebody that they're wrong, tell somebody that their beliefs are stupid, tell somebody that they're going to hell. Like, I feel like there's not saying that like you're not going to go to hell if you don't believe in this. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying like telling people like blatantly like you're a bad person, you're a sinner, you're this, you're that. Whatever the case, it doesn't always look the best. Because people kind of get turned off by it.
Yeah.
And that's not what I ever want to do with anybody. Like, I would rather be able to talk with people either one-on-one, get their ideas, get their own theories on it, and bring people that way in a positive light. I don't ever want to like shun people or tell somebody that their ideas are stupid, or whatever, like you could be 100% correct if you're thinking that simulation theory is true and whoever created this game is just there that set us all in motion or whatever. And then once we're done with this life or whatever the case, if we see that final boss,
Yeah.
then we'll get answers then. We'll never know what this world or this life is 100% about until it's over. And hopefully one day we can get the time to be with that creator and ask those questions. Was I right? Was I wrong? What did I do right? What did I do wrong? And when I was a kid, I used to think that, I grew up in church and stuff, going to church with my parents and family and stuff as a kid. And I was just doing it through the repetition every morning, or not every morning, but Sunday mornings and stuff. We would get up, go to get ready, go there. And I'm like, man, I get 2 days a week to sleep in, and I hated school so much with like the schoolwork and all that stuff. It's like, finally got 2 days to sleep in. And then I have to use one of them waking up early and being groggy all day, being in a bad mood if I'm not with family and whatever, or like my other cousins and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So sometimes I would think like maybe I think it's called the egg theory. And what that means is like you're the only one that's actually the real one, and everyone else is like a robot or AI, so to speak. And I feel like AI is such a new term. I would have thought people were robots and I was just real,
Like an NPC?
Yes, yeah, exactly. But NPCs weren't really a thing back then in like the early 90s. There was video games with people that you couldn't play against and stuff, but like, I don't know. I didn't think of NPC being like Grand Theft Auto type NPC where they actually look like, I thought they were more
They look like they had a life or something.
Yeah. And it's like, well, am I leaving this room and that's no longer real, or they just kind of shut down until I kind of have to make that either conversation with them or I'm crossing paths with them and stuff.
Right.
So I used to think that as like a young kid, and like just always not. I didn't believe in that. Like that was like my beliefs and stuff, but I always like wondered. I'm like, is this real? You know, is this like, and you never know until it's over, kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
So then the other night I was like, what about like simulation theory? What about simulation theory makes people think that it's a real thing? And I feel like it's a really easy way for people to believe that there is a higher power without claiming the higher power. A lot of people will say, and I'm not judging anybody by any means, like you will be judged. I'm being honest. Like people that say stuff, you're being judged. I don't care what people say when they're like, only God can judge me. No, anybody and everybody can judge you. The way you act, the way you treat people, the way you perceive yourself, whatever the case, you know. So it's like, don't think only God can judge me. Everybody can judge you. Anybody can judge you. So don't think that you're unjudgeable because you're getting judged right now as you're listening to the podcast. No, but so I feel that like the simulation theory is a way that people can believe in something of a higher power without giving it the name or the term God. There's a few people that I know, like personally, that are like, oh, you know, if you speak it into the universe, you speak it into existence. That's like a manifestation.
Yeah.
But if you speak your plans out loud, what makes you think that your enemy can't hear you and give you what you want? Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Thank you.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay. Have fun, okay? She's going to karate.
Oh, nice. Go kick some butt for us.
Okay.
My bad.
So sorry you couldn't go. You had to be a part of this. You're like,
It's
I
fine.
want to see her get her black belt finally. No.
Okay, so keep going.
So I feel like I know a lot of people that will say like, oh, you know, you speak it in the universe, think, you know, the universe has my back or whatever, as if the universe is bigger than God. If God created the universe, then the universe is smaller than God. And I almost want to explain like how there are, like, say there's different realms or different dimensions. You know, I feel like we're on like the third plane or the third dimension. You know, we can draw and create things in the second dimension, in the first dimension, but we can't create anything in our dimension. I mean, we're getting to the point now where we're able to create things in our dimension and stuff, but we can't create anything in the fourth dimension.
Okay.
Where I think things in the fourth, fifth, sixth dimension can create things in interact with our dimension, but it's outside of our peripheral. So almost like ghosts, or like if you believe in ghosts, they're in our dimension, but they're not within our dimension. You know, they can transport through our objects that we create, but they're outside of our dimension. So I feel like they're a part of a higher plane. They're within a higher dimension. And I feel like the same thing with demons as well. You know, so like each thing that you believe in has more, they can pass through our dimension, and they could either be seen, which ghosts are seen or whatever the people think, or demons when they possess people. You know, they can take over something in the third dimension, but they're not, we're not able to go through to their dimension to see anything or pass through, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Kind of like the upside down with Stranger Things. That's what I feel like. Hell on Earth would be like the upside down, where we can't see through it, but it can either see us or it can't see us. So it might be able to pass through, it might not be able to pass through, but not everything can pass through our dimension. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's just kind of an idea of what I had for like explaining demons. And that's where I feel like aliens are actually demons. They asked Aleister Crowley
Yeah.
and his wife were trying to summon demons or summon Satan, and they were told, or they were said to have, they have said that the beings that came to them they described them as almost the grays, like the demons, or like the gray aliens. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So anyway, long story short, that's kind of where I am with like people believing and praying to like the universe to put it out there in existence, right? But if you were to say something that you wanted in life, if it's good, you're going to get it one day from God. And
Right.
I don't mean like money. Like if you, and that's this is what I believe. If you pray to God, like, I want to win the lottery, please God, let me win the lottery. Give me the winning numbers, whatever the case. God's not going to put that type of responsibility or power in your hands unless he knows that it is good for you and the good for everyone else. God isn't going to give you evil things. God isn't going to give you things that will make you worldly. And worldly, I mean like things of this world. If people, and you could question whatever I'm saying and stuff too, like everything that I'm saying, I'm kind of just going off a whim. I don't have anything really written down except for the notes for what I explained to you earlier the other day. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the idea of simulation theory. And do you have anything you want to mention on what I just mentioned at all?
No, but you
Okay.
touched on how you're not pushing on someone's religion on what to believe in or what to believe. You had this connection, how you could connect religion and the simulation theory together, and you're gonna spit it. This is it.
Okay. All right. You ready?
Yeah, man. And this all came to you while taking a piss at 4 in the morning.
4 in the morning.
Let's go.
If you get a program designer or a
Right.
program developer,
Mhm.
they're two different things, right? The person that creates the program and then the person that gives the ideas for the program.
Okay.
Okay. So if you had your program designer outside of the program, so let's just put it in Grand Theft Auto video game terms. The program designer isn't in the game. They're not a part of the game. They've created the game. They've created the world that you're a part of. They created each character. They created the things in the game.
Mm-hmm.
They created like perks for specific people. They created not tasks, but like a tutorial. There's tutorials for people to help them understand
How to get by in the world.
the game a little bit easier. So my sister works in computer programming, and I was like, I had an epiphany about life and understanding and what you do for work in computer programming, artificial intelligence, and the official intelligence, which is God.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, I think I figured a way to break down God, faith, religion, Jesus, and the devil, AI, in a way to help normal people to understand. And normal people, I just mean people that don't have a religious background, or if people do have a religious background, if they want to be able to explain it to people that don't understand religion or understand like the Bible and stuff like that, to make it more like almost like more modernized, I guess, in a way.
Okay.
Help normal people to understand God, and that the only way to the Father is through Jesus, who died on the cross. The cross is the link for us to become cross-platformed. So for us to be able to get outside of the game and be a part of that world. So what I mean with that is God created everything, right? It says like in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Okay.
Yep.
But when you are creating a program, when you're creating a computer program, when you're creating anything, you start off by taking notes. You start off by making notes of what's going to work. You're going to start making little tasks for yourself. You're going to not just go on your computer and start typing away and being like, okay, I just made this whole world. I made this whole game. I made all this thing, right? The other thing that people don't understand is that they try to put God within our realm, within our simulation, within our game, within our world. And when you do that, you're limiting God to time, space, and matter. And God is outside of all of this, all of our universe, everything. So he can create time. In the beginning, that creates time. God created the heavens and the earth, space and matter. So he's breaking everything down as to what he's actually doing, what his plan was. He's telling you exactly what it is. So this is kind of what I wanted to explain. You know how it says in the beginning, God made the heavens and the earth, right?
Yep.
So if you go to John chapter 1, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. How I'm interpreting this is the Word is the tutorial, is the user manual, is the notes prior to creating our realm and prior to making our world. So how I'm understanding that is, in the beginning was the Word. So he spoke things into existence. That's how things were created. When you speak things as a manifestation within prayer or whatever, you're speaking those things either into existence, or you're wanting those things or needing those things. And those things will either come from God if it's good, and if it's bad, your manifestation, because it's something that's not good, it could possibly come from the enemy, which is the devil. How I understand it is God created all of this for us to be able to live our lives in the best possible way. I feel like God used the angels more than we understand and expect. So why did God create the angels in heaven? And I almost wonder is if he created them to help him either be a part of our lives and outside of our realm, but also be able to be a part of our realm at the same time. So,
Okay.
for example, if you had a guardian angel, for example, they could kind of come in and be a part of our realm to assist God and help us, like stopping us from getting hurt or injured. And it's like, I almost wonder in a way, like, have you ever heard of somebody like falling off of something and you're like, oh my gosh, did you get hurt? And they're like, oh no, not at all. It was like I landed on pillows. Like it didn't even hurt. Like jumped off a trampoline and bounced off and landed on their back. And you're
Yeah.
like, oh man, did you get messed up? They're like, no, I didn't even hurt. It's like, I almost wonder if that's like God's glitch in a way of stopping us from getting hurt, or the angels not creating, but the angels alternating something to make it so it doesn't hurt us or affect us.
Something written in the code.
Yes, no pun intended.
Yeah.
Now, the third of the angels left with Satan and were banished from heaven to come to earth. So I'm almost wondering is if Satan or the devil, whatever you want to call him, corrupted the angels into following him and thus creating a version of artificial intelligence. You have God, the official intelligence, creating everything. And then you have Satan creating artificial intelligence, spreading lies, making things worse, and I feel like he set the code of the fallen angels to come to us to corrupt God's files in plans and helping us get closer to him, and they're deviating from the plan and making it harder for us to get closer to God and pulling us further and further away. So the angels, for example, could glitch something to make it so we don't get hurt. They could protect us. You know, if you're going one direction and you ever in the middle of doing something and something catches your eye, nothing happens, nothing moves, but just something like, what was that? It's like sometimes that can happen when you're going in a wrong direction.
Mhm.
And it can almost be like the arrow, like in the video game, where you're like going further off the path of where you're supposed to go. The arrow is like, no, go this way. Because if you deviate from the plan, you're going to go into deeper and darker woods. You're going to get into more trouble. The game might start glitching out and not letting
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
You know, so it's like, so I almost wonder as if the angels are there to point us in the direction, kind of like the tutorial. Like, oh, hey, you're supposed to go this way. But the
Mhm.
further away you go from God is in a way like sin. It's not that you are doing bad things, because there's no such thing as a bad person. I feel like there's bad people that do good things and there's good people that do bad things, but nobody is truly ever evil and nobody is ever truly good. You know, I'm
Right.
sure Hitler's probably done some good things in his life before doing bad things and becoming evil. You know, you're
Yeah.
not born evil. You're born the closest and the purest form, closest to God. And the more older you get, the things you do, the decisions that you make, each decision that you make can either make you closer to God or further from God. And I feel like evil and the devil and whatever you want to call him or call it, whatever it is, it's not that you are sinning and you're becoming evil. It's that if you do wrong things and bad things and sin, you're going further and further and further away from the source of what actually created you.
Okay.
So I feel that the Bible is the user manual and guidebook, and we listen to people who never even opened it or read one passage from it, telling us it isn't real and that it's a corrupt file. So we listen to them and don't even trust who created the manual for us.
Right.
So there's things in it that's more of like a guide, and it's more of like a way of a manual for living on this earth and doing good things. It's like if you read the Bible and you understand it, there's things that you read and you don't understand. You have to read it again and read it again and read it again before you can kind of comprehend it. And sometimes praying about those wants or needs, it's like if you pray to be able to understand the Bible better, why would that be a bad prayer to pray? You know, if I said it out loud, it's not like the devil's going to be like, we're going to make him so he can't read. The devil's going to make you so you're not going to be interested. The devil's going to pull something over here that's going to get your attention. That's glitz and glamour, pornography, whatever it is, drug, whatever. I mean, it could be anything. It could be like, hey man, you're tired. You had a long day. It's like, no, I want to read the Bible. Yeah, but you're really tired. Don't you want to take a nap? You know, it could be as simple as something like that, where it's not that you're sinning, but it's taking you from your desire, your good desires, and pulling it toward your bad desires, I guess, in a way, if that makes sense. So the other thing that I wanted to mention too would be like, people are like, well, what about Jesus? How is Jesus God? That doesn't make sense. They're like, people talk about the Trinity and stuff, and they talk about the God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit, and that makes up the Trinity. And they talk about it in the Bible, and they're like, oh well, it never said the Trinity. They never mentioned the Holy, or they never mentioned all three of those things at one time. Are you praying to three different gods? Are you praying to three different things? And it's like, no, it's one thing specifically, but it's God, but in different realms. You have God as the programmer. You have God as the designer, right? He's above everything else, but he coded himself to be put into the game. He coded himself to be put on our realm, to be put in our world. So he coded himself as the Holy Spirit to be like that conscious. We hear God. You read the Bible, or if you think of what God sounds like, some people have mentioned that they think God sounds like their own voice in their head. You know, like if you're praying at night, and that might be a way of communication for God, because if he goes, if I sound like somebody else's voice, they're going to think they're crazy. You know, but if I sound like them, I could be their conscious telling them. Their conscious could be, hey, you know, I wouldn't do that if I were you. Where if your bad conscious is more like, hey, why don't you do this? Your bad conscious is always going to be desires that aren't very good. You know, for example, man, I'll tell you straight up, like there'd be times I would be addicted to pornography and stuff, and I wouldn't be able to not watch it. It doesn't even mean that, like, I had to do anything, but it would be like, I gotta watch this, you know. And it's like I would pray for those things, like to not be a desire. Can you please make this so I'm not even interested in this? Like there would be times where I would be like, I want to find somebody, I want to marry somebody that's perfect for me. I'm not saying I want to marry the perfect person, but the perfect person for who I am. You know, like we can mix well together, we can be well together. And it's like, who knows, one day that might happen. Maybe she don't exist, but we'll see. But those little things that you pray for and stuff, I feel like it's usually those prayers get answered by God, but through other things. You know, he might put other people in your life, you know, like I'll tell you straight up, like I was not supposed to, when I was in the Coast Guard, I was not supposed to get stationed in North Carolina or in where I live at now. And I put in a list. I had 97 picks to choose from. I had one pick from my hometown that was kind of close. It was still like 45 minutes from my hometown or an hour from my hometown or something. So I was like, oh, let me put this. Then all of a sudden, the next closest was 2 hours away, and they nixed that one from that list. Then the next closest one, they nixed that one. The next closest one was 6 hours away. They nixed that one off the list. So my list went from 97 to slowly dwindling down to, okay, well, the next closest place to my house is like 14 hours away. You know, the next closest one is 20 hours away if I drive. You know, so like I was just seeing this list go dwindle down, lower and lower and faster and faster. Like none of my picks for being closer to my family was on the list. And I'm putting it in a perspective of like, am I not supposed to be back home? Am I not supposed to be with family? Am I not supposed to be with my friends? Like, and I get to the point where I'm like, you know what, God, this is in your hands. I have no control over my picks. Nobody does. Nobody in the military. Nobody. You pick something, somebody else is telling you where you're going. You have no idea where you're going, right? So they told me you're going to North Carolina. So I was like, oh, okay. Well, that wasn't on my list. I mean, that wasn't like high on my list. It was probably kind of low on my list compared to everything else that I had. But then there was a kid that I was working with in my office, and he opted to stay. So then months later, I already have my paperwork saying that I'm going to North Carolina. This kid gets an email from the guy that tells everybody where their picks are or where they could possibly go. And he says, you don't have to go anywhere, but here's a list of 14. If you want the place that you're at now currently, which he wanted at the time, he said, just put that as your number one pick and I'll just keep you there. So he already told the guy, hey, if you put your number one pick, which is where you're living at now, I won't move you. Well, right before that happened, him and his girlfriend broke up. And he was like, she moved back home or whatever to wherever she was living at. And he's like, you know what? I'm cool to transfer wherever you want. He's like, I'll take any Florida pick. I want somewhere dope. And the guy's like, nope, that's not how this works. He goes, just put 14 picks, your favorite to least favorite, and we'll go from there. So it's taken like a few weeks, taken like a month. And this guy's getting antsy. This guy's getting super antsy. And we're all like expecting like, oh yeah, you know, you're going to get somewhere cool, like wherever you want. So he gets in the office and he's sitting next to me and he goes, I got my pick. I got my picks or whatever. It came in. It tells me where I'm getting stationed at next. And he goes, I go, where'd you get? And he goes, I got Cleveland. And my hand just started shaking. And he goes, I'll be right back. So he goes to the office, like our supervisor's office. And he tells our supervisor, he goes, hey, I got my pick. And they go, what'd you get? And he goes, I got Cleveland. And they go, oh, you mean you got North Carolina? And then he's like, you think he'll switch with me? And they're like, oh, yeah. So they came back. He came back to me and he goes, you want to switch? I was like, yeah. I was like, I'm down. They call the guy that tells you where you're going. And within 5 minutes, I had new paperwork telling me that I'm going back home to be with my family and my friends that I haven't seen. I haven't been around and lived here for 10 years. So there's things like that where it's like people that don't believe in God or believe that things happen for a reason. It's like there is no possible outcome for that to have happened and in his situation to have happened. And then the option from mine and his to switch. It's like, so for me, there's things that have happened to me that I'm like, there has to be a God. There's no way on earth that this all happened and unraveled the way that it did without like that actually happening, you know?
Right.
So, and I've had like near death experiences too. Like there's things that have definitely made me like, I definitely believe in God because of this. Like I've jumped over a fence before with a hoodie on when I was a kid. And I was probably like, maybe like 10, maybe 8 or maybe 9 or 10, something like that.
Yeah.
And I jumped over a fence and my hoodie snatched the top of the fence. And I just was like
oh, damn.
hanging. And my friends are across the street. I could see my friends. And I'm hanging from the side of my house, like on the fence. Like I couldn't pull my jacket down. I couldn't pull all this down to get a breath. And I'm like trying to reach. I'm trying to pull myself up. Can't do anything. I'm kicking. I'm swinging. Nothing. Right. My neighbor's granddaughter was over. She was my age. And she runs over. And she's like, are you okay? And I'm turning purple. Can't breathe. Nothing. I'm hanging myself. She runs around the house, knocks on my dad, or knocks on the door. My dad goes through the back door, opens the door, and as soon as he opens the door, the fence post broke. And I fell like 6 feet. Boom, landed right on my stomach, landed on my chest. Can't breathe, crying, think I was gonna die. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe like he opened the door
man.
And the thing fell. There was no control of that. And you could say, oh well, I was rocking back and forth or something and maybe knocked some of the staples loose or whatever. That thing was not moving for that entire time. And as soon as he opened the door, it broke and fell. Another time, I mean, I was a bad kid. I wasn't a really good kid. But one time I got into a fight with my dad and he pretty much threw me through the door or whatever. It was like, get out of here. Boom. Grab shirt and pants. Boom. Like Jazzy Jeff from Fresh Prince. Just threw me through the door. So I go in the front of the house and I'm pissed. And I'm like, I was so mad. And I turned and I punched a window in my garage. And as I'm pulling my arm out, I drop my arm on the glass. That's like all standing up. And I pull my arm out. And I mean, scar from there to there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and then that one there hit something, but I can't feel any of this. I got like scars all on my hands. My hands are all jacked up, and like I got a bunch of little scars on my hands from the glass. And I was like 15, I think.
Yeah.
So I pull my arm out, and I'm like, oh man! And I open my hand up, and I'm like, my hand's just covered in blood, and I'm like, oh! And I'm looking at the window. I'm like, I did that. He made me mad. I made him mad doing that, you know? And all of a sudden it's just going, just blood, just squirting out. And I lifted my arm up and it's going like 4 feet away. And I'm just like, oh no. And my arm was cut open, like probably like that wide. Like I could see all the meat, you know, I could see the veins. I could see all that stuff. And I just like covered my arm. And my dad came outside. He thought I broke the window in the van. So he came outside and he's like, "Oh, you need my help now?" kind of thing. And I'm like, "Yeah, I think I sliced my wrist." And he's like, "Let me see." I was like, "No." I was like, "It's really bad." So he's like, "Come inside." So my dad had the grace, even though I made him mad, I pissed him off. We were pissed off at each other. He still had the love for me and cared for me as my father to bring me into the house and still take care of me after I destroyed his property. I come inside and he goes, "Let me see." I go like this and blood just starts going everywhere in my kitchen. I'm like, I'm 15 years old. My mom's crying. My sisters thought that he cut me open or something.
God.
They didn't know what happened. Yeah. So I feel very vulnerable telling this story. I don't tell people this. So so it's just bleeding everywhere, right?
Wow.
So he's like, "Let's go to the hospital." He ties a towel around my arm and like trying to stop the bleeding. And I'm holding my arm up like this, but my hand's turning cold because of how tight I'm holding it and how tight the towel is on my arm. So every once in a while, I let my arm loose and I just feel all the blood rush down my arm instead of into my hand. And I'm like, "Oh, I feel like I'm gonna pass out. Like I was like, I'm gonna die." I'm like, people cut their wrists, they die. Like that's just what I. So I'm like, oh, I'm freaking out. I'm crying. And like, I could tell, I just kept telling him, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." And he would tell me like, it's okay. I'm sorry too. Like, it's okay. Don't worry. Like, you'll be okay. You'll be okay. Don't worry. You're not going to die. Drives me all the way to the emergency room. We get there. The lady goes, "Let me see." And I'm like, "No, it's bleeding everywhere. Like it's shooting out. Like I definitely hit an artery." And my dad's like, yeah, it's pretty bad. Like you should probably just take him straight back. So she goes, let me see. So I go like this, and it's just like oozing slowly. The bleeding stopped.
Yeah.
So they clean it all up. They do x-rays. The glass missed every nerve. I didn't cut any nerve in my hand. The only thing this is like numb. I can't really feel that. Like I could feel the vibration of it, but I can't really feel like the skin and stuff. Like this one, I could feel like it tickles. So I get stitches and stuff, and like they clean it all out. They get all the glass out for the most part. I ended up having glass come through my skin months later, like around Christmas. Like this happened in like September, October timeframe, and like glass was slowly coming back out of my skin, kind of like a little pimple, and then I would scratch, and then the glass would come out of my arm in like December.
Like an accident.
Yeah. So I get home and my mom's mad because me and my dad are talking buddy like nothing happened, right?
Yeah.
And she goes, "I can't believe you guys are just friends." Like she was so mad at us because right before that we were fighting, like it wasn't like a good scene at all. And I'm not proud of that moment at all. But as soon as we left, my mom and my sister started praying immediately. And I know for a fact, I know 100%, your blood doesn't just squirt out like crazy by just cutting your arm. Like I know for a fact that I hit an artery. I know for a fact that I hit some stuff. Like my hand wasn't like the greatest when I was going there, and getting checked out. So seeing that, I'm like, there's for a fact, I hit an artery. And when I came home and my mom was like, "We were praying for you as soon as you left." And when I got to the hospital, they said that they're like, "You missed everything. You didn't hit an artery at all." I'm like, I feel like the power of prayer. I feel like God was looking out for me. I didn't lose any mobility in my hand. I could have lost all mobility of my hand.
Yeah, man.
And that's where the idea of grace comes into play. Like that's an entire ideology of Christianity is grace. Like by the grace of God. It's like the best way that I could explain that is me and my dad were in a huge fight. I could have moved out and gotten kicked out that day. By his grace, he still loved me. Even though I talked the way that I did to him and treated him a bad way, he loved me and brought me back into the house where I belonged. and where I was supposed to be. And I feel like that's the exact same way it is for God, where when people sin and they do certain things, no matter how bad of a person you feel you are, or how evil of a person that you feel that you are, if you apologize, God will bring you back into his home and bring you back home. Like that's the love of God. It's everlasting. It doesn't end. You know, when people die, you still love that person. You still care about that person. You still miss that person. They're just not there for you in that moment. But that's the exact same way I feel like it is for God. But God's love is eternity. We're on such a blip of time. It's like if you got like an entire roller and you made like a little dot here, that is our life. But then eternity is like all these little dots. That's 70 years. I mean, how many dots is it going to take before you get to here? And it's like, and then there's this much more, and then another like this much more, and this much more, and this much more. Like eternity is forever. It's not.
Right.
And for us, we get the concept of time. We understand time. We think that we know time, but time is just technically a construct within our realm, within our simulation. You know, once you get outside of that simulation, by reading the user manual, reading the guide, living that direction and living that way, as long as you feel like you're trying to become better. And I'm not saying like, I feel like if you believe in Jesus, then you can go to heaven. And the only way to heaven is going through Jesus. And when I'll touch back on this, when I said God is the Father, then there's the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is God who coded himself to make him be able to be your conscious, to be your healthy conscious, and be there to guide you. When you do something wrong in your life, you know you're doing something wrong. Everybody always has that thing in the back of their head. I probably shouldn't hear. I probably shouldn't talk that way. I probably shouldn't act that way towards that person. But there's also people that tune that voice out so much that they don't hear it anymore.
Mm.
But you can always ask for that guidance. You can always ask for, hey, I want to hear your voice better. I want to hear that conscience better. I want to be a positive person. I want to be a good person. Like, I want to be able to hear you more and understand you more and learn about you more. All those things can guide you into that, towards that end goal. Now, when people say, well, how is Jesus the Son and the Father at the exact same time? God coded himself to be within our realm, so then that way we can go through him to be with God. So that's just how I understand it. Like, God the Father is the creator, he's the program, he's the designer. But to be the Holy Spirit portion of it, to be our guide, to be our conscious, he had to code himself to make himself within that realm. We don't see him. We can only hear him when we want to. You know, we could only hear him when we're listening for it. You know, that's a tune that we're tuning ourselves into. And then Jesus is God the Father in human form, which he created himself as a human. So he coded himself to be within time, space, and matter. So that's why he had a beginning and he had an end on this earth. And then when he rose again after the cross, it's like he put himself out of the tomb. They weren't able to find him in the tomb as Resurrection Sunday. When the rock was moved out of the way, his body wasn't even in the tomb. And people are like, well, how does that make sense? Why would it be gone? You know, well, it's like, well, you're almost wondering, like, he coded himself to be within our realm. Why couldn't he code himself to be outside of our realm or an in between? So he could get rid of himself in a way. You know, you're limiting God if you're trying to say that he can't code himself into our realm and into our life and into our being. You know, and then what happens is, after he resurrected, people just think, oh, he was gone, he wasn't in the tomb, so he resurrected. he showed himself to over 500 other people after the fact to show that he was still alive and well. You know, through me, you will go to the Father. So he wants people to believe in him in the ways that he lived his life on earth. That's why we have the Bible and the New Testament and all that stuff, with understanding how to get closer to God in a way. Sorry if I just went on like a crazy tangent. I just was like, I'm trying to find a way to better explain my beliefs and my religion without trying to put it onto people or guilt trip people into believing in what I believe in.
Man, you're just explaining religion to me is just one's personal relationship with God.
Yeah.
So you're just explaining to me like what yours is. You're not telling me what to do, what to believe in, or I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah.
You're taking me down this journey, bro. And I'm down for the ride, son.
Cool. Yeah, because I don't ever want to like tell people like, hey, your beliefs are wrong or this and that. It's like I could show you what it says, and I could kind of show you the facts on what they say here, but we'll never know. Like once we die and this world ends for us, and it could be any time. Nobody has an idea when our time is up. You know, when we get the game over sign above our head and where the flower comes out of us.
Yeah.
So it's like nobody understands or nobody knows the time when that's going to happen. So when it does happen, it's like we'll see. I mean, I might be completely wrong on my ideas and my theories or my religion or my beliefs or whatever, my faith.
That's you. That's yours.
Yeah.
And it's not up to us to be like, nah, man, you wrong.
Yeah. So, but I think that's it for the deep dive.
Hollywood get it right.
Jesus is confronted by a man possessed by demons who identify themselves as legion, for we are many. He casts out the demons, who then possess a nearby herd of swine. Immediately, the entire herd goes crazy and commits mass suicide by stampeding down a hillside and off a cliff into the sea. The seas have always belonged to him. It's his domain. Why did Jesus walk on water? To show his power over the devil. Moses parting the sea, same thing. Book of Revelation, all the dragons and dragons and the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Where do they come from? They rise from the sea.
I remember that movie.
Did you? I never seen it before. Do you know what it is? Imminence.
Yeah, something like that. I had like a date.
That guy, the guy that was talking, I always think that's Michael Jai White.
Oh yeah, no.
He kind of looks like him to me.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, so there was that one. I just thought that was really cool. And to touch on that, he said that the devil is within the ocean, over in the seas, right?
In the seas.
We know more about outer space in the universe than we do our own oceans.
Mm-hmm. Girl.
And when they go to Antarctica to drill, they go so many miles down through the ice to get new species and stuff. They found new species of shrimp, new things, but they don't know all of the species that we actually have in our own world, in our own oceans, that are technically alien to us, which could be a way for the demons to be living there. And if the flood happened, the fallen angels can survive under the water like that, then maybe they're still around.
Mm-hmm.
So
God dang.
This is just more of like a positive note. Being grateful.
That I found pretty exciting. They said the part of your brain that you get anxiety from is the same part of your brain that has gratitude. You can't be grateful and anxious at the same time. So then in the Bible where it goes, instead of being anxious, be grateful.
It's so, when you told me that,
crazy to think that they were calling out legitimate things that scientists have found out about.
So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, man.
Because like I've been trying to do that more and more with my own self, like just being grateful for things, being grateful for my friends, my family, my health, my life,
Yeah.
the food that I mean, like you could be grateful for the food that you're partaking in, and it could be
Yep.
take away the anxiety of if you're gonna get food poisoning or like
Yeah.
it could possibly make things. I wonder if it could possibly make things taste better because you're not anxious or worried about how it's gonna taste. So then you just say that you're thankful for it or you're grateful for it. And I think they said that it's impossible to be angry, anxious, or sad at the exact same time as being grateful. So if you're ever mad at somebody, George Janko mentions this. He said, if you're ever mad at somebody, think of 3 things that you love about them or you like about them or you're grateful about them for those things. And you'll no longer be angry at that person.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to and it's hard. I'm not saying it's an easy life to live, like if you are religious or if you are spiritual or whatever the case, it's like, but I'm not saying that anything that we do is perfect in this life at all. We are far from perfect. It's impossible to be perfect. We are so imperfect. We're more imperfect than we are perfect.
Hey, I dig that. I dig that.
That's just what I think. And then this guy talks about he's at a school and this lady is trying to kind of talk bad about religion, and this young kid actually like stands up for Christianity and religion at this school, at this like school forum.
Bunch of white nationalists, as you said, bunch of white nationalists push Christianity down your throat.
Christianity was in Africa before Europe. Whoa, did you hear that? The Ethiopian Bible is older than the King James. Thank you. That's exactly right. The argument that colonialism brought Christianity to Africa is completely wrong. Why is it completely wrong? Because Christianity was already in Africa before Europe. Christianity was in Africa before Europe. And one thing you need to know is that Christianity is not a European religion. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Christianity is not a European religion. So one thing you need to ask yourself is, why did the people there choose to accept this religion? And one of the reasons why they chose to accept this religion was that some of the values being propagated by this religion already aligned with their values.
Bro. Cradle civilization.
Yeah. And all right, I'm sorry. I got 3 more videos. This lady was an ex-satanic high priestess, and says why kids need to pray. And I'm sure you could probably show your wife this, and she's probably like, "Oh yeah, I know about this already."
Okay.
Ex-satanic high priest tells us why our children should pray. Listen to the end.
Yeah, you have to teach your children to pray even before sleeping, because I would go to some homes and I cannot access the child because there is a wall of fire around that child. Or I go to wake the child up because I have to touch the child and wake the child up subconsciously and tell her, follow me. And I find this child is sleeping in a pool of blood that I cannot access. You have to cover your children in the blood of Jesus. I cannot access. This child is in a certain blood. And I would go and report to the jinn. I say, I found that child in blood that I cannot touch. If I touch that blood, it's not like the one who sacrificed the chicken, the goat. That blood is so strong, I cannot even go near it. It was irritating me. It was choking me.
To learn more about spiritual warfare, be sure.
Yeah, man. That was good.
What that means, whether you believe in Jesus or God or religion, there are people that believe the opposite. There are people that believe in devil worshiping and Satanism and all that stuff. And when she mentioned the jinn is a term in Egyptian, and it means demon. So when she's saying that she reported back to the jinn, she reported back to a demon. But in Africa or wherever she's from, like they use jinn because that's like the term that they use for demons in the Egyptian language. What she's explaining is how she would try to get these children to come from their house and follow her. That way she can do whatever, who knows what kind of sacrifices she did besides chickens and goats. But that's all I'm
Right.
saying.
Oysters were found 2 miles above sea level, 11-foot oysters weighing 600 pounds, 2 miles above sea level in the Andes Mountains. When they climbed Mount Everest, they found petrified clams on top of Mount Everest. The interesting thing about these clams, they're petrified and they're closed. Now, I'd like to point out, Mount Everest is a little ways from the beach, first of all, okay? About 450 miles to the beach. And clams do not climb mountains very well. And when a clam dies, it opens. You can walk along the beach and find a million seashells. You hardly ever find a matched pair. And you never find them closed if they're dead. They open right away. How do you get petrified closed clams on top of Mount Everest? I think there was a flood. But I don't think the flood was over Mount Everest. Mount Everest wasn't there. Psalm 104 tells us the mountains arose during the last part of the flood. The mountain ranges formed during the end of the flood, probably as a result of the Earth's crust being cracked open and busted up into pieces, and pieces would lift up and flex back and forth.
Damn.
Interesting, right?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Good videos.
I was trying. And what I'll do is on the tab for so like when you guys go to the SpeakInCOAD, like the podcast Instagram, we have all these different topics. We got cloning, we got weather control, we got funny, we got sports being rigged, the news, symbolism, all these different things. We're gonna keep creating these and keep adding new ones specifically. So probably tomorrow I'll add the religious one, or whenever we drop the podcast, I'll add a religious tab with all of these different religious videos. And all you got to do is just click into it and it will start playing. It will start playing one of these, and you can either click on it and see the post and watch it in its entirety, or you could just skip along until you get to wherever you want, and then you can go on from there. So I just thought that would be an option for you guys.
All right.
So here's this one, and this is the last video. I'll show a couple memes after this, and that's it.
So Jesus is dying on the cross. 2 thieves are hung on either side of him. First thief turns to him and says, "Come on, miracle boy from Nazareth, get us off these crosses. And then based on that, I'll believe in you. Come on, little miracle dust, Jesus. And when I see it, I'll believe." Second criminal turns to the first criminal and says, "You idiot, we're dying here because we deserve it. But this Jesus, he's the innocent, holy, pure Son of God." And the second criminal looks at Jesus and says, "Lord Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." Now, Jesus didn't say, whoa, time out. First, you got to get baptized. Then you got to work in a soup kitchen. And then you got to give all your money or half of it to the poor. And then you got to genuflect. No, he didn't say that. He looks the guy in the face and he says, "I tell you the truth. Today you'll be with me in paradise." Okay, so that's grace. He didn't deserve it, but he trusted in Christ. Christ forgave him and gave him eternal life. Now, if the guy would have gotten off the cross, would he have tried to be baptized? Would he have tried to celebrate communion? Would he have gone to church? Would he have given money to the poor? Absolutely. Would he have lived a perfect life? No way. None of us live a perfect life. Certainly I don't. But by the grace of God, he would have changed and become more the man that God created him to be than he was at that time. So you see, the real issue when it comes to faith is not how many works have you done. The real issue is your faith genuine, sincere, or is it insincere? And sincere faith will be shown in the way I seek to obey Jesus.
I saw that one before. That guy's good.
Yeah, I like him a lot. His name's Cliff Knechtle. Him and his son, they go to different colleges and stuff and speak. And I don't know. I really like their stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So then I just got a couple memes. Oh, so here's some news.
Overturned.
Yeah. Harvey Weinstein's 2020 conviction overturned by New York appeals court. So he's supposed to serve 20 years in New York due to this case. But they overturned it, so they're probably going to appeal it, and he'll probably win somehow. But there's also another case. He's got a conviction in L.A. for 16 years. So if he doesn't do this one for 20, he could still do the 16 for L.A. But if he wins the appeal for this, more than likely he'll probably try to go for an appeal in
L.A.
Yeah. And then we got this one. This is just how I feel.
Yeah.
That's like our news is like.
Yo, that was you. That was you today.
What do you mean?
When you change the news?
Oh, yeah.
You said nah, B.
I was like, I'm over this crap. I don't want to watch this. Yeah, I just was like, oh, I want to watch something different. Let's do it. All right. And then this one here, it just says, who can name the 3 branches of government? And the person raises their hand and says corporations. The other person raises their hand and says pedophiles. The other one says the media.
Yep.
It's like, oh, yep, I believe it. They're doing so much crap nowadays. And then here's the last meme that I got for you. I just thought this kind of made sense for today. Says, the devil whispered in my ear, "You're not strong enough to withstand the storm." I whispered back, "At least I didn't lose my golden fiddle to hillbilly in Georgia."
Yeah, yeah.
Usually it's like I had my head down and was praying, and the devil said, you're not strong enough to withstand the storm." And I whispered back, "I am the storm."
Oh shit, son.
Yeah.
Damn.
So
all right.
But oh, did you want to do any conspiracy trivia?
You got some?
Yeah, I got some.
I lost my score sheet. I kept score last time, but you know how I got kids, dog. They came in here and chuck something around.
Cool. All right. So, and if you guys are listening at home, you can play along as well.
Hey man, check it out. All right, what we got?
The first one is schemes. How much did James S. Jameson, heir to the Jameson Irish whiskey fortune, pay to witness someone being eaten by cannibals? A, he paid €3 million. B, 6 handkerchiefs. C, a small bag of diamonds. Or D, 2 chickens and a goat. What did the heir Jameson?
I'm gonna say D.
B?
B. Delta.
Oh, okay. 2 chickens and a goat?
Yeah.
It was B. 6 handkerchiefs.
What the fuck? That's even worse, bro.
I know. You're like, what the heck? They were used handkerchiefs. No, I'm kidding.
I bet. Yeah. You're crusty, dog. Rusty.
All right. This one is tech. And we'll just do 5. Does that work? Or you want to do 3?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
5.
Who did a live Instagram stream with his copy in order to prove that cloning is real? A, Nicolas Cage. B, Joe Rogan. C, Kid Buu. Or D, Justin Bieber?
C.
Oh, Kid Buu. Yep.
It sounds like a fucking influencer.
Who is that? Do you know?
I have no idea.
Okay. All right. This next one is tech as well. They all tech. Yeah. Okay. Dead internet theory states that the web has been taken over entirely by what? A, aliens from planet Omicron. B, evil spirits and demons. C, Chinese hackers. Or D, artificial intelligence?
D. Delta.
Artificial intelligence?
Yeah.
You are correct, sir.
Oh man, I got 2. Cool.
I would have said aliens and demons.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 3 of them. All right, this one is schemes. What cruise line offers scuba trips off the coast of Little St. James Island, aka Epstein's Island?
Excuse me.
A, Carnival Cruise. B, Princess Cruise. C, Disney Cruise. Or D, Royal Caribbean Cruise?
Disney.
Yeah, C,
Yeah.
Disney.
This motherfucker.
I know. Makes sense, right?
Yeah, B.
Okay. And then this is the 5th and final conspiracy trivia.
Oh shit.
What did Alexander the Great claim scared all of the horses and elephants on the battlefield? Dang, could you imagine elephants on a battlefield?
Ooh, fucking Hannibal.
Yeah. A, birds of fire. B, ghosts of the fallen. C, flying silver shields. Or D, Nazgul.
What was the question?
What did Alexander the Great claim scared all of the horses and elephants on the battlefield?
I'm gonna say the ghost.
Hmm.
Damn. What was it?
Flying silver shields. Kind of like flying saucers.
Yeah. All right. So not bad.
We can ask TBD and see how he does.
Yeah. I went 3 and 2.
We'll make him listen to the podcast and get back to us on how he
Yeah. We're gonna stream him listening to the podcast.
Yeah. While recording the entire podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reaction video.
We did it. Okay. And then we'll just finish off here with the thought for the day. All right.
I got questions. Questions for the community. I don't know what we call our community yet. One's a riddle, I guess. I got a riddle.
We speak in code. Yeah, your room is getting dark. Yeah, you just went solar eclipse on us. Yeah, there you go. We could see your silk sheets.
No one sleeps in this room. It's just a room.
Maybe our listeners can be the Morse codes.
Ooh. We have to think of something. Let's put a poll in the Discord.
Yeah, we'll put a poll in the questions.
All right, so I got a riddle.
Okay.
Riddle is, if you lay me on my side, I'm everything. If you cut me in half, I'm nothing. What am I?
If you lay me on my side, I'm everything. If you cut me in half, I'm nothing. I don't know.
The number 8.
What?
If you lay it on his side, it's the infinity symbol.
Yeah.
If you cut it in half, it's a 0.
Okay.
Bro, that blew my mind. All right.
It kind of pertains to today.
All right.
What is more powerful than God? More evil than the devil? The rich always want it. The poor always have it. And if you eat it, or if you eat me, you will die. What am I? And I can repeat it too if you need.
I don't know. Life? I don't know.
You better repeat it.
Okay.
Okay. What is more powerful than God? More evil than the devil? The rich
Nothing.
always
It's nothing.
want it. Yeah.
Fudge, dude. All right. Good thing you read that again, bro.
Yeah, nothing is more powerful than God.
Yeah.
Nothing is more evil than the devil. The rich always want it, and the poor always have it. And if you eat it, you will die. The answer is no.
Good one.
So, all right. And then I will give you the thought for the day.
All right.
You ready?
Yep.
Thought for the day. Never judge people by their past. People learn. People change. People move on. Thanks, TBD.
That's a good one. Our tribal chief.
Yeah. Cheers. Acknowledge him. Both of them. Get it?
I'm out. I'm out of drink.
Yeah. All right, man.
Yo.
Anything
So
to
you
say?
had something on your chest, brought it to the table, and it was delish. Dude. The religious quest. It was good. It was good.
If you have questions, let me know. I'll try to think of some other ones where it's like, give you guys some better alternative ideas.
Yeah, man.
But I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, it was definitely good. Interesting. Very interesting to hear what you had to say. I liked it.
Before I forget. So did you get anything to pass for the class?
Nah, man. I mean, we gotta start getting more active in that Discord.
Yeah,
you know?
we do. And then If you guys stay tuned, next Tuesday we are going to interview Suburban Mama. She's our friend from the Discord. She's also on the Business Party podcast. She is a co-host / third seat. She is on the Two Jacks One Scotch podcast. She makes up one of the Jacks in the glass. And then she also has a podcast called The Weekend Hangover.
Freak.
So be prepared. We're going to have her on. We'll drop some links.
She's a specialist in specialty.
Yes. And I think next week we are going to talk a little bit about cloning. I think I might talk to her a little bit about JFK, or we might talk to her about JFK. We might even have her on as two totally different podcasts and break stuff down even more multiple times. So, thank you guys for listening.
Thank you.
Stay safe, stay blessed, keep on questioning. Chente.
Hey, live long and prosper, dog. You know,
Boom,
that's it.
Go.
We are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweigh the dangers which are cited to justify it. There is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. I am not asking your newspapers to support, but I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people. To the recorder of man's deeds, the keeper of his conscience, the courier of his news, that we look for strength and assistance, confident that with your help, man will be what he was born to be, free and independent.